Hi, this is Josh from Federal Signal Tech Support, and right now we are going to set up OBD ignition. So that way it'll sense when the vehicle is off or on, but just using the OBD, no yellow ignition wire. So first things first, you would need a vehicle-specific OBD cable, which would be A, either spliced in, or B, direct plug and play. And once you have that vehicle-specific OBD cable, just go ahead and plug it into the OBD port on the Pathfinder, Pathway, or whichever siren you have. And we need to go into the software and add the whatever vehicle that you are programming. So to do that, what we need to do first is click Edit Hardware, and then click Has OBD2 cable, so go ahead and check that on. And then go ahead and choose your vehicle if you click this drop down here. In this example, I'm going to use the 2025 Ford Police Interceptor Utility. Let's go and click Continue. So now we could set up our OBD ignition. So what we need to do, all these are your CAN inputs. We would need to select any button, slide switch, or whatever input to add a CAN input. And then once you do that, just go and click the properties icon, which is the gear icon on the top right, and then add your CAN input. In this case, it would be key position. Alright, so now that is added into the program. So now go ahead and select key position under the inputs, CAN inputs, and then go back to your properties and go to your button properties. So this is very important because we would need to have this either equal off or less than accessory in the on position. So you could use less than accessory on any vehicle, but Dodges, any Dodge vehicles such as Durango, Charger, etc., would have to use the equal off. But since this isn't a Dodge vehicle, we could just go ahead and select less than accessory. So for primary operator, just choose less than, and then primary value accessory. Okay. So now what we need to do is go and close this out. Make sure that on the top right next to where you minimize, maximize, and close, that the advanced slider is on. Make sure advanced mode is on. And then once that is on, make sure you're in the on position, not off. So make sure it's glowing red. Go to miscellaneous, and then go ahead and check on device shuts down immediately for the on position. I know this might seem a little confusing that the device shuts down when the key is on, but that's how it would be set up. So once that is done, you should be good there. And all we have to do now is right-click ignition on our additional inputs and then delete. And then are you sure you want to delete all features associated with IGN? Just go ahead and click yes. So what that did is it deleted the yellow ignition wire from the program, which is that yellow ignition sense line from that 14-pin harness. Because if you have two ignition senses in the program, that could potentially cause problems. So to eliminate that, just go ahead and delete the yellow ignition wire totally by doing that. And last but not least, go to your system on the top and then priority settings. If it isn't already there, make sure key position is located in the number 1 spot. And then go and close that out. And then go ahead and click device, and then program device. which will dump the updated configuration into the amplifier. Now, if it is not working, couple things. A, make sure before you turn off the vehicle, make sure the USB is unplugged. If it's plugged in after cycling power, the Pathfinder or whatever siren will stay on. So just make sure you unplug the USB before turning off the vehicle. And if it's still staying on, just to be on the safe side, just make sure that yes, that is set to less than accessory. And if it still doesn't work, I had experience with this with a couple vehicles. Even though it's not a Dodge, just change it to equal off. Like that. If that doesn't work. And if it still doesn't work, we probably have to check our CAN, our actual OBD cable. First, make sure you check your splice points, make sure it's spliced in, either by the document that was sent to you or that we're going to send you with the actual pinout of where it needs to be spliced in. If you verify that it's plugged in or spliced in correctly, you can go to Tools on the top here, and then CAN Diagnostics, which will tell you if CAN messages are being received. And that way you can do further testing and verify what the problem might be. So that is how you set up OBD ignition. Now if you want to do a timer, you would have to use that yellow ignition wire, because if it is possible with the OBD ignition, but there's a lot of virtuals and it'll pretty much overcomplicate things, and at that point just hook up the yellow ignition wire. And that should cover everything. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you later.